Hello, Diana Gaddis, Savvy Florida agent, community market leader, digital marketing specialist, live on the shorelines of Fort Myers Beach. I'm so graciously grateful to see each and every one of you. I'm so equally blessed and graciously grateful for the opportunities that I get to walk along the shoreline and share information and knowledge with each and every one of you. So what I want to talk about today is our current economic conditions. And I educate myself. I love to, for the past several years, actually 6 or 7 years now, I've listened to and watched different channels on YouTube and uh, experts in the different economies and economics. And, uh, and since I've been in real estate, I've been watching real estate experts also from all over the country. And I've been in the business for 20 plus years. I truly appreciate their insights, their knowledge, and their expertise because, once you've been in this business for a while, you can see economic trends and indicators, and you have a feel for what's going on in the market. I've lived in Florida for, 6 years, going on 7 years, and graciously blessed and grateful to be here. And, that's a short time to be doing real estate when you're comparing to what others have experienced and seen through 20 years of service, 20 plus years, or a lifetime of service in real estate. And the true leaders and the true experts are the ones that have been working in the industry for years, working in the industry successfully for years. They also operate with a great deal of integrity in their business because you have to. If you're in business for that long and you have people working for you, then you have a tremendous amount of credibility, transparency, and expertise. So watching these individuals and listening to them, and again, this is not just in the real estate market, but this is in other sectors and other industries throughout our country. And when we lived up north, we lived in a manufacturing environment, and we always knew what was coming by car sales. We lived near Detroit, and the auto industry ran our economy in that area. And not just car sales, but individuals working at the car plants and the feeder plants or side, the places that built the parts or machining to build special machines and also to repair those machines. So you could see when things were changing, when people lost their jobs or were laid off. Well, what we see in our current economy, gosh, a whole bunch of stuff, right? I mean, it's not just one thing, it's a whole bunch of stuff. So when these indicators are, well, of course, we see, despite of what the mainstream media says about employment and job numbers and economic conditions being great, we all feel the realities of what's going on, living here day to day and watching our friends and neighbors and family members and what they're experiencing, and people in our community, what they're experiencing, businesses in our community, what they're experiencing as well. In the last 6 years, we've seen many businesses that have closed, as a result of lost sales. And currently, what is happening is, many of these retail stores, these big box stores, closed. I mean, whoever thought that Sears, they've been around, they were established for an extensively long time, and they are no longer in business. And they started out as a catalog store, and their doors closed. And there's a furniture store that has been in business for nearly 3 generations. It's closing its doors. Franchises of fast foods They're closing their doors. Macy's said that they were closing stores. Big Lots is closing stores. Amazon had a big round of layoffs. So it's the tech industry also. Things are changing. People are losing their jobs, having to find a new way of making a living. And in that change process, hi, hello everyone. Let's keep it clean here. I'm happily married. My husband, 24 years, raised 6 children, strong biblical values in operating business and in our lives. And here we're along the shorelines of Fort Myers Beach, and it did. Well, it's still raining. It's raining this way. You can see the rain clouds. Here it stopped. So, um, with these businesses closing and inflation, the cost of groceries that tremendously went up. I know, and we're spending quite a couple $100 more a month than what we used to. Not because we buy anything different, or that all of a sudden we're eating, uh, prime rib regularly, or expensive cuts of meat and seafood. It's because the prices have gone up of everything. So, experiencing that, and now in home ownership, having a mortgage on our house, and experiencing any kind of job loss, imagine what people are feeling. I know in this area, taxes went up and insurance went up. With that, some people are paying $200 and $300 more a month on their mortgage as a result of the insurance and the tax increase, not because their mortgage was variable, but a direct result of the tax increase and the insurance increase. So that's significant. That's a couple $1,000 a year, in addition to the rising costs of fuel, travel. Everything's inched up a little bit, and our salaries have not followed suit. So again, individuals paying these mortgages, if it's a two-income household, one person loses their job, are they able to pay the mortgage? Most likely not. So one of the crises that experts are talking about are foreclosures. Foreclosures coming, and banks taking ownership of people's properties as a result of mortgages not being paid. Well, policy always comes in to change things, and then printing more money. I don't think printing more money is going to resolve that concern. And there's other concerns as well. I mean, it's not just one thing, and it's not just one industry. It's many, many, many concerns all at the same time: financial concerns and economic concerns. And we'd like to say that we can resolve all these issues with policy, but I don't know. So, what can you do, right? And that's really what I'm speaking about. What can you do, and how can you take care of yourself? This is one of the reasons why I wrote and authored the book, Business with Purpose. In the hardships, and I've been through business closure. I grew up my mother and father immigrated to this country, and my father was a tailor, and we owned a sewing factory. And in that sewing factory, at peak operations, it employed over 60 individuals. And these were all women. I mean, women were the ones that were sewing. There were a few men, but mostly women. And with that, when we went to a global economy and the NAFTA agreement was signed, that industry fell apart. That was the textile industry. And we know this, and that's evidenced by, you can see that there's no clothing manufacturers anymore here in the United States. With that also, was a union, International Ladies Garment Workers Union, which does not exist anymore either. That went into anybody that had pensions in that program lost some of their pension. And again, I'm speaking from experience. This is why I'm sharing all of this knowledge. They lost some of their pension, and it went into the tourism and travel pension fund, and that's where these individuals were getting their pensions from. And these were substantial unions that were established, and they dissipated and disappeared. So, what can you do in times like this? Well, if you're fortunate and still able to maintain uh, your household and income, it's best to start paying down expenses. Do not use the credit cards. Get rid of that big car payment. If you have a car, and my son, he was so cute, 20 years old. He says, yeah, he says, I'm going to get myself a car, going to buy it from the dealership, a new car, what, payments are $500? I said, yeah, if you're buying a new car, yeah, sure, payments are $500, and your insurance, you have to have car insurance at 20 years old. What, is that like $400 or $500 a month? So now your $500 car payment turned into $1,000 plus gas. So, I mean, even to have a new car, what is that? $1,500 a month just for the car and car expenses? If you have a new car that you are leasing or you purchased, perhaps you need to consider getting rid of that car, selling it, getting out from under that loan, and buying something for cash. It is transportation. Be smart, be prudent, make your money stretch, put money away, pay off credit. Don't use your credit card to pay your bills. Use cash to buy your living expenses and clothes. If you choose to use your credit card, pay it off right away. Don't keep racking it up or racking up the bills and paying a minimum every month. You're paying more money in interest than you are paying anything off. Work hard at paying that credit card down. Get rid of any kind of car payments that you have. Be frugal and prudent. Doesn't mean that you have to live poorly. It's a mindset. So, how else can you take care of yourself right now? What can you do? Are there revenue streams that you can create for yourself? I think if you give it some thought and do some brainstorming about your skills and talents that you have, you might find some viable opportunities. You know, Starting a business, maintaining a business, working for others. I mean, bottom line is my belief system, because of what I've lived through and because I I have a strong foundation in the Lord Jesus Christ. And I always refer to, and one of the things that I learned was when I work, I am giving in service to the Lord. Look, the sun came back out. I am giving in service to the Lord. So, as in Colossians 3, verse 23, 24, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. It is the Lord Christ you are serving. When you work with an attitude of servanthood, and that what you work and what you do are in service to God, and you realize that He is the one that provides your paycheck, He is the one that provides you sustenance. It is not the world, because any kind of circumstance can happen. And how you move forward through those circumstances is important. When you're working for God, God is the one that's providing you with the sustenance to maintain your household and your living expenses, and you realize that, then you can have more peace of mind, peace of heart, peace of soul. In Proverbs 16:3, commit to the Lord whatever you do, and he will establish your plans. So if you're considering starting a business, or you are in business and you're having to find new ways and new avenues of maintaining business operations and um, creating revenue or expanding revenue, commit all that to God. Confess it with your mouth where you're at. Write down your plans, write down your goals. That is very important as well. When you take the time to write those things down, there is clarity in what you are working towards. So as you write that down, also read it every day. When you read it, and read it out loud, what it is you're doing when you read it out loud is you are training your brain to embrace those goals and those desires of your heart. And soon your actions, not soon, but that's where your actions will follow. When we write our goals down and we write our visions down, we write an action plan. And our action plan needs to be a little flexible too, because we need to be open to opportunity. And we start with the day committing all of this to God, reading our plans and goals out loud, and professing that our decision making, our brain, our thoughts move in that direction. And with that, new opportunities and avenues and revenues are created. It does work. Now, there's also more to it than that, because also you have to examine your relationship with money, because we're all in a relationship with money. It is a relationship. You have to love it. You have to nurture it. You have to have give and take. We are in relationship with money, and how we treat money matters. Do you have change all over the place? Do you have crumpled up bills in your pocket? Do you have a debit card that you use and you don't track what you're spending? Or perhaps you and your partner or your spouse each have a debit card, and one doesn't tell the other what they're doing, and pretty soon you get into some financial difficulties. Yeah, you have to put some boundaries into place and come up with a plan that's going to work, and be in a relationship with your money, because it is a relationship. In that relationship, we have to love our money, and our money loves us. And we also have to examine our belief system with regards to money. Growing up in the church, for whatever reason, now, and follow me with this, okay? For whatever reason, I had a poverty mindset. If you want to be close to God, you have to give up everything. No, that's not true. You want to be close to God, you got to tithe, yes, but not give it all to God. You don't have to give it all, because he's the one providing for you. And you don't have to be poor, barely getting by. God doesn't want you to be poor and just barely getting by. God wants you to be rich, because when you're rich, you serve God's purposes and use your resources to serve his kingdom. So you have to examine where your belief systems came from with regards to money. When my belief system, it was very bizarre. And when we're children, we connect thoughts together that are wrong, because we lack experience and knowledge and development for deep thought, analytical thought, and application thought. The only thing we can't abstractly think when we're developing as children. We can only think in concrete terms. What's in front of us, what we see, that's what we understand. So in that, sometimes wrong thoughts are developed. And you have to go back and you have to examine that and examine where your money belief systems came from and why you behave the way that you do with money. That is extremely important. You have to want to do it because it takes work. In that work, it takes time alone, it takes reflection, it takes answering certain questions. You know, you got to where you are because of your belief system. Your mind, your actions follow what you thought, and your belief system is what has built your life. So if you want to change your life and you want to change your money habits, you have to change your thought process. And in changing that thought process, you also have to examine where those beliefs started and then dissolve them because they weren't true. They weren't accurate belief systems. You know, that is very important, you know, for individuals that are, and again, I come from a counseling background, you know, so I've done a lot of work in this, and you have to want to. You have to want to because nobody can make you, you know. So you have to grasp onto that. You have to do the work also. You know, you have to find the quiet space. You have to reflect. You have to go deep within yourself and start examining your heart and examining the concept of money. Why do I think like this? Why is my life like this? You have to ask those questions and then answer them and look deep within your heart to find those answers. Remember, our sustenance comes from the Lord. So He too can heal us even if we can't find the answers. And if that's you, then that too, you have to pray for that because that too happens. It gets broken off of our heart and off of our minds as we move towards changing our mind and beliefs of what we want and how we view money. You can do this. It is doable. I do this along the shorelines here. Before I lived at the beach, I used to walk all the time in the forest, in the woods, in the state parks, near water daily, and found time for reflection, self-reflection, self-examination to change and grow and move in new directions. It's the only way to change your life. The power is with you. It's not happenstance. They are decisions. They are intentional, conscious decisions. And sometimes you don't know what's going on as to how you ended up where you are because your thought process has had wrong thoughts and wrong connections based on your life experiences and your childhood and your parents or your community's belief system or something you heard in church. And I'm not saying that those things are bad. You just have to recognize that. You have to recognize where you were in the development process of how you connected those thoughts and then reconstruct it. Dissolve it and reconstruct it. And this is why you write down a plan, you write down goals, and you step into action and you profess those goals. As you start saying it, your mind starts changing and your action starts following. You know, I heard somebody share, and there's studies on this, on our brain and our thought process. You know, we like comfort. You know, when you're uncomfortable, it doesn't feel good. I'll give you an example of that. Okay, elementary students, and think about elementary school. Okay, elementary school, you had one teacher, maybe you had two teachers. You didn't change classes. somebody was looking after you to make sure your schoolwork was done or your homework was done. They were checking your book to make sure you wrote down exactly what you had to do or what was due. And then you went to middle school or junior high school. When you got to junior high school, the responsibility of your education and going to your classes and handing in your work was on you. It wasn't the teacher chasing you down. It was on you. More responsibility, getting to class on time, being responsible for the learning, your part in the teaching and learning process. So that was uncomfortable. So I have students that come into sixth grade and middle school after being in elementary school. And the first week or two of school, they say, "Oh, I feel weird. I feel weird. I feel like it's all disorienting." Yes, it's disorienting. When you're making changes that are uncomfortable and out of your routine, it is disorienting. And that's what you want to do. You want to disrupt your thought patterns. You want to disrupt your life to make the change. That's the only way it happens. Because our brains and our bodies, we like comfort. We like comfort foods. We like to be comfortable. And we like to go back to our old routine because it's easy and it's comfortable. So if you want to change and grow and you want to grasp the prosperity that you can live, you have to work at it. And it starts with what we think and how we think in our belief system on money, and writing the plans and doing plans every day consistently to go after those dreams. I'm graciously grateful for each and every one of you. I look forward to seeing you again. Have a gracious and blessed evening.